If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. The special counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider. The department's written opinion explaining the policy makes several important points that further informed our handling of the obstruction investigation. First, the opinion explicitly permits the investigation of a sitting president because it is important to preserve evidence while memories are fresh and documents available. And second, the opinion says that the Constitution requires a process other than the criminal justice system to formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing.
I think it's a fair inference from what we heard in that press conference that Bob Mueller was essentially referring impeachment to the United States Congress.
And so now we have a point where we have a president refusing to cooperate with a congressional investigation. And I believe that expungement proceedings will strengthen Congress's hand in getting the information and the responses that they need to come to a conclusion about ultimate impeachment.
The Justice Department can't charge a sitting president with an actual crime. Then it goes over to Congress to decide whether to charge the president with a high crime. This is as close to an impeachment referral as you could get under the circumstance.
And Mueller served that up and says, there are all the facts, multiple examples of obstruction of justice. I can't indict.
Right.
It's up to Congress.
To me, the conduct was obviously impeachable. So then the question is, do you then move forward with impeachment proceedings? I think you have to have proceedings to deter this kind of conduct, even if ultimately the person is not convicted.
What do you think? I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman.
This is NewsRap, live at 5. All right, we've been waiting for the needle to move. It is moving.
Okay.
Slowly, right?
Yeah, but it's moving.
It's moving.
A little faster some days than others, but it's
Yeah.
moving. It's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. It picked up a dozen yesterday. Went from 38 to 51, so.
And that's pretty good.
Not bad.
Well,
not bad.
But what's this magical, and we're talking about impeachment.
Yeah, you know what we're talking about because we've been talking about
That's
this
all
for
we
the
ever
last
talk about,
month.
right? But
Well,
what-
it seems like lately it's all we've been talking about.
But what is this magic
yeah.
number that she's waiting for? If we're at 51, do we have to get to 77?
She's waiting for a majority of the caucus.
You know, that's
She's waiting for, 100 people or 200 people.
that's dumb. That's stupid.
I agree.
Well, let's put it like
I
this.
agree.
If she said, we are going to hold an impeachment inquiry, no Dem is going to say I'm against it.
I don't think so, no.
So she already has 100%. They're waiting for her leadership.
They're waiting for her.
That's all that's going on here.
Yeah, and her calculations right now, I mean, for a person who I think is a brilliant tactician, she's not thinking this through.
You know why?
Why?
She's not a brilliant tactician.
Well, okay.
No.
We all thought she was. She's a good vote counter.
Not I. I said we should be careful of Pelosi because she lost a whole lot of votes
Yeah.
the last time she was speaker. And now that trepidation may be holding her back because she's so afraid of what could happen if she swings at the ball and misses.
Well, the problem is that right now we're allowing Donald Trump to kind of dictate his own fate.
Of course.
I mean, that's basically what we're doing. What we're saying, the big argument that I've heard against impeachment, I hear, Chris Matthews making it. I hear a lot of pundits making it. I hear Pelosi making it. There are two arguments. One is that you cannot get the votes in the Senate.
Okay.
And that may be true. You may not be able to get the votes in the Senate.
I'm inclined to agree with that right now.
Inclined to agree with it if it was today.
Right now.
Right. But the other argument is that if you impeach, and impeachment, let me make clear what impeachment is. Impeachment is an indictment, meaning an accusation.
So it's the hearings.
So it's the actual, well, not even the hearings.
Well,
no.
it's the indictment.
It's the indictment.
Right.
You're looking for basically probable cause.
Okay.
That obstruction of justice has happened, right? So you look for that. Then if not the Congress, but the House of Representatives alone, because they have the sole responsibility, if they vote to impeach, then there's a trial. There's an actual trial with witnesses and testimony and all of that stuff in the United States Senate.
And that would be
presided over by the Chief Justice of the United States.
Right. Okay.
And the Senate becomes the jury, right? And they vote. And you need a supermajority. So you need 2/3 in order to remove him from office. So that means if you take the 48, I think, Democrats that exist right now, then you've got to add another 20.
20. So about
to
7.
them. Well, 19. 67
okay.
would get there. Yeah. So you have to add another 19 in order to do it. So the argument against it is, and I'm not going to the moral place yet. You and I will go to the moral place in a minute.
I love it when we go to the moral place.
Yes, but the political argument is don't do it because the Republicans, you don't have enough Republicans to remove him.
Okay.
And then if you can't remove him, Trump will be able to say, see, they tried to get rid of me. They couldn't get rid of me. Whole thing was a witch hunt. You know, you can write the tweets yourself. You know exactly what those tweets are going to be. That's the argument against it. What no one's talking about is, what is Trump going to say if we don't impeach him?
I can tell you what he's going to say.
Go for it.
So here's the debate stage. You pick your candidate, Warren.
Okay.
Trump versus Warren. Warren's the nominee. She will lay out his crimes, and Trump will turn to her and go, I'll tell you what I would say. I would turn to her and say, if I was Donald Trump, and Lord knows I never would be, I called for the impeachment of Barack Obama because I thought he committed crimes, and Donald Trump did do that. But Nancy Pelosi did not call for my impeachment because she knows I'm innocent.
Right. Exactly.
And then it is a problem between Warren and Pelosi. He moves it back. He lays his crimes at the feet of the Democrats.
Exactly. And he basically says, if I was that bad, they would have impeached me.
And he would say, if I thought somebody did all of those things, I would impeach them.
Right. So you can see what a silly argument that is. Donald Trump is going to do what Donald Trump's going to do. He's going to lie. He's going to say anything he needs to say to make this whole process look ridiculous. If there is impeachment, if there isn't impeachment, it doesn't matter. Now the moral question is, do we allow the wrongdoer to dictate his own punishment or lack of punishment?
Well, you are above the law when people do not apply the law to you.
Right.
So if you're the biggest drug dealer in the world, if you're Scarface, and they know what you're doing, and they ignore it, then yes, you are above the law.
Right.
Because the law is not something that applies itself.
No.
We know what the laws are, but we have prosecutors, we have district attorneys, we have judges, we have juries, we have our system so that the law can be applied.
That's right.
If we fail to apply the law to him, then he's above the law. And if we're not going to do that, then she should bend her knee and she should coronate him.
Yeah, right.
Because she's the one saying he's the king.
That's
if she
right.
refuses to come after him. It's as simple as that. That's on her, not me.
Right.
If I had the power, I would have impeached the hell out of him 20 days ago.
The other thing is that
he would have been in trouble.
The other thing is that, of course, she's doing what Democrats always do and what Republicans never do. She's ignoring her base.
Yes.
I mean, the numbers for Democrats are overwhelming that they want to begin. And by the way, I'm not talking about impeachment. Impeachment are those articles, right?
Right. We're not talking about the articles of
We're talking about an impeachment inquiry, beginning the process. And there are other benefits to that. Right now, there are 6 different committees with 89 different subpoenas in 15 different courts. Once you have an impeachment inquiry, there's one committee
Right.
with one purpose.
Right.
And you don't have to prove, well, we need this information for this or that or
And
something
and
else.
his powers are
You're
reduced.
simply saying we need this information because we're in the middle of deciding whether we're going to impeach the president.
And his powers are reduced,
Right.
and the powers of Congress are increased.
Although he doesn't apparently think so, because he said
court-
the stupidest thing I have ever heard any United States president say in my life: the courts will keep an impeachment from happening.
Yeah.
He clearly has not read the Constitution.
He hasn't even looked at it. He hasn't
I
even
mean,
touched it.
no. I mean, there is a separation of powers that everyone kind of understands.
It's a dirty, dirty word, too.
Oh, dirty word.
a
And
dirty, dirty
Congress
word.
cannot keep. The Supreme Court cannot keep the Congress from impeaching a president. That's the whole point, folks. So let's focus America. Let's get it in one place. Let's get the cameras in one place. Let's get the information in one place. And then let the American people decide. Now, you know, if the Democrats don't make the case, then they haven't made the case. But Mueller kind of made the case. I would think we wouldn't have a problem doing
But
it.
see, the Mueller point you bring up is a great point. Now let me ask you this. So Mueller goes on TV.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say anything. The only thing that he said that I don't think I heard before was the point that, hey, look, I never considered accusing him of a crime because he couldn't have his day in court.
Right.
That's the only thing I think I heard him say that was new. Everything else, he pretty much said, hey, if we thought he had committed a crime or if we thought he was innocent, we would have said he was innocent. Paraphrasing.
Right.
Not quoting him that.
Right.
And after that, after he goes on TV for about 17, 20 minutes, what happened? What happened?
Well, obviously there was a greater call for impeachment than ever before
Why was there a greater call?
because he was on TV.
Because people saw it on TV.
Right.
And that's all the more reason for you to put the hearings on TV and lay out his crimes on TV.
Right. And by the way, I don't care if the Republican senators think
Oh,
that he should be removed.
That's not
I
the point.
Once you have the trial, let the American people decide whether he should be removed. And again, if we didn't make the case, we didn't make the case. They certainly didn't make it against Clinton, did they?
Take it from me.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely, you will never see an American president removed via impeachment. Because he'd be an idiot to sit there when the vote turns against him and not resign.
By the way, have you heard McConnell basically say, or at least people are assuming that McConnell, this is the other
Right, that he will run.
that he will not even have the trial.
No, he can't stop it. He can't stop it.
I don't think he can
He
stop
cannot
it.
stop it. He cannot stop it. So, point being, what if they had an impeachment inquiry, and in the middle of this inquiry, somebody hits upon that one thing? I'll just toss it out. What if his taxes are released in the middle of this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And it's that one thing that makes him go, I got to leave office. I'm in danger.
Yeah.
It could literally, there is a chance that impeachment could force him from office.
By the way, new book coming out.
New book,
Michael Wolff's sequel to Fire and Fury
which was one of the ones you really liked.
is coming out, and in it, this book is going to deal mostly with his financial dealings.
See?
And in it, there's a quote from Steve Bannon, I understand, at least that's how The Guardian put it, where Michael Wolff says to Steve Bannon, he said, what you're describing to me, because Steve Bannon is describing all of these financial dealings, and he said, what you're describing to me sounds a lot like a semi-criminal enterprise. And Bannon says, yeah, but you can drop the semi part.
You know, Bannon had a statement today that that was at least reported today, which was pretty much that soon the American people will find out how big of a criminal Trump is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's.
I think he's referring to the book that comes out Tuesday.
So
I think that's what he's probably
we'll
talking
see.
about.
We will see very, very shortly.
But you know, we cannot allow him to decide this.
No.
We can't allow the Republican senators. We can't assume that they're all venal and self-interested, and when they hear a case made, they're all going to ignore it.
Of course.
We can't
Some of
make
them are
those
going to be up for re-election.
assumptions. So what is the harm of starting the process?
Let me
I
ask
don't
you this.
see it.
If you start the process, this is what I would say to Pelosi.
Yeah, and
If
then
you
I guess we have to go to
Of
the
course.
brief,
If
but-
you start the process, are you going to lose one Democratic vote?
No. No, you will not lose a Democratic vote.
Are you going to gain Republican votes? If you start?
Probably.
So we have everything to gain and nothing to lose by starting the process.
I completely agree with that.
There it
And
is.
I wish Nancy would agree with that. Nancy? As Mueller would say, the ball's in your court.
Yeah.
I think we want to go to the local news brief.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look.
This is your local news brief for Friday, May 31st, 2019. Councilmember Tyrone Hampton has announced he will run for a second term representing District 1. Hampton, a Pasadena native, has served on the council since 2015. He sits on committees such as the Public Safety Committee and the Economic Development and Technology Committee, while remaining involved in his community with frequent meetings. Along with a seat on the council, Hampton began his term as vice mayor of Pasadena on May 6, 2019, after being elected in December of 2018. Several affordable housing advocate groups have come together to form the Pasadena Tenants Justice Coalition, or PTJC. The group aims to put a rent control measure on the November ballot. Nicole Hodgson, a PTJC member, is quoted in a Pasadena Weekly article as saying the group has formed to address the lack of tenant protections in Pasadena, as well as addressing the practice of evicting tenants who are in full observance of their lease obligations. Pasadenans Organizing for Progress sent out a poll that showed 70% of residents support rent control, while 80% supported a potential law restricting landlords from evicting tenants without valid reason. Results also showed interest in rent control for all 7 districts. Jaylene Mosley, a community activist, has passed away at 69. Some of her community projects include the Flint Ridge Center, a program provider for high-risk, high-need individuals, and Mustangs on the Move, a collection of after-school activities at John Muir High School. Some of her many awards for community effort include Assembly District Woman of the Year and the Ruby McKnight Williams Award. Former councilwoman and friend of Mosley, Jack Hay Robinson Baisley, is quoted in the Pasadena Weekly as saying, Jaylene's biggest legacy is the impact her work and her efforts had on community-driven change and policies.
We will really miss Jaylene.
Yeah, that one was really sad.
Very, very sad, very sudden and unexpected. She was so much the heart of this community in so many ways.
You know, that's one of those, Barry, that I got an email last week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, from the Flint Ridge Foundation saying that Jaylene was in hospice care, and they were saying the cancer appeared to be terminal, and I literally was going, what cancer? What is this?
Right.
And as we were talking about in the office, you could see from the way that it was worded, they were almost saying there's nothing that can be done here. And it just, I took a couple of days off. I was ill, getting over this cold. And in that time, I think I turned over one morning to a text message saying that she had passed away. So just really sad. I mean, she did so much for the community.
So much, and we will definitely miss her.
Yeah.
And, of course, speaking of the community, we have a new coalition.
The PTJC.
PTJC.
Well, I'm going to tell you, their timing could be perfect for the cause because right now in the Assembly, there is a bill that would cap rent increases at 1 a year, under 7%. Mm-hmm. And right now, the Landlords and Renters Associations are on board with that because it was going to go indefinite. Now it looks like it would only go till 2023.
So you say they can only raise rents one time a year.
One time a year.
And it has to be less than 7%
Less than
increase
7.
each year.
Each year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best the PTJC can hope for, or what I would predict, I won't say the best, but what I would predict is whatever they have planned for the November ballot, at some point the Pasadena City Council, like minimum wage, like cannabis, is going to have to look at that and say, probably will say we will come up with our own ordinance so that we will maintain control
Right.
of how this is applied across the city. But again, we did this during the election. You and I talked about it then with Peter Dreyer. I'm going to say again, at some point, this is an issue that will become a statewide issue in California. And we are right there right now where the city's going to have to deal with it.
I think it has to be. I mean, I think that tenants have really gotten the the short end of the straw or the short straw for a very long time now.
And I mean, SB 50, which
we talk a lot about homeowners and not a whole lot about tenants.
exactly, and SB 50, which just I guess temporarily on hold in the state Senate, Anthony Portantino. I mean, Sacramento now wants to give developers the right to pretty much, if you're half a mile within the trains, you could build mid-size all you want. They think building more is the answer to the problem.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how that works, because if you can't afford it now, they're going to have to build a whole lot to bring it down to an affordable level. A whole lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would
And
be the only way to crank the supply up so much.
But the city does not want to build a whole lot and does not want to give the state control to build a whole lot.
Right.
So, one or the other. And right now, we're at other.
We ought to have Peter in
Yeah, it'd be great.
to talk about it and see what their goals actually are.
It'd be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
It's about time for him to make a return.
Yes, it is.
So.
Yes, it is. And Tyrone,
A second term.
no big surprise there.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. You know, I mean, right now, Margaret McAustin obviously won't seek a second term. But this is funny because, they didn't get a chance. There was no election because the city had to change the way it conducts elections because of the state law. And now what you see is the local politicians getting antsy
Yeah.
because they should have campaigned by now. And so now they're announcing re-election campaigns way early because it feels to them like they should be doing something.
And when is the election?
Oh, we won't go until next November. We're still 5 months out. But people are announcing, maybe not, wait.
Next November or this November?
No. We go 2020. So we go when the presidential race goes. So you see.
That's a long city council race.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you see the antsiness, and I think that's what's going on. I'll get a definite date, but I'm pretty sure that's when it is. It's either primary or race. Either way, we're more than a year out.
Do you see any surprises coming up? Any surprise candidates that might pop in? And
I think Felicia Williams, who's vying for Margaret's seat, I think she's an amazing candidate.
yeah.
And right now, I would say she's the person to beat for that seat. So we'll see what happens.
No, that sounds right.
Yeah.
But you don't anticipate any more retirements?
There's rumor of one more. I'm not going to toss it out there. We'll see what it is if it happens.
All right.
We'll see.
We will wait and see.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
I'm going to jump back to impeachment.
Okay.
So is the best comparison to Trump's impeachment Clinton or Nixon?
Well, it's definitely Nixon. I mean, because what Clinton did was not destructive at all to the fabric of our society. It was destructive to fabric, but not the society. Sorry, I had to make the blue dress joke. Okay, so
It's right there.
yeah, it was just sitting there. It was just
Supposedly it was.
sitting there waiting for me. Okay.
That's what Clinton probably said.
Okay. Okay, I can go on with that.
Yeah, hey, it's NewsRap.
Yeah. So.
But Nixon.
Yeah, it would have to be Nixon because, I mean, he basically, it was election involved, which this is, and it had to do with attacking the institutions of democracy.
And and as Nixon
And what Clinton did just had nothing to do with that.
and as Clinton's impeachment went on,
yeah,
even Republicans moved to this guy shouldn't be being impeached.
that's right.
And I don't think that's what we would get out of a Trump impeachment. I think we would get the opposite. I think you would see some Republicans go, finally, I can't believe I'm supporting this moron. Look at the laws this guy broke.
I think that's true, but it would change with the American people first.
Oh, I completely agree.
Right?
Completely agree.
So if you put it out there, I mean, look at that one woman at the Justin Amash town hall. who said, I thought, until I heard Justin Amash speak tonight, I thought that he had been totally exonerated by Mueller.
Because people don't read it?
People don't read it. They don't listen. So that is what she thought. And I think there are a lot of people out there, particularly independents, who are basically apolitical, don't get involved in the partisan fight. And independents, I think, are not aware of the level of wrongdoing that he had. I mean, we know because we watch a Warren town hall and Warren lays it out, or we watch Justin Amash and Justin Amash lays it out. But, I mean, the day that Mueller spoke, you heard Brett Baer on Fox News in shock.
Yeah. Well,
he was in shock because he said, I thought that what Barr said was true, and he said, and now I realize that Mueller said pretty much the opposite.
Yeah. You know, I said this before we came on, and you and I have had this conversation right before we wrap up. What you do and I do, it's the only two professions that people have decided are democracies. People have decided the news is something they can vote on what's right and wrong, and art, they think they get a vote on the ending. Like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right.
And it's just not that way. And this is why you have a portion of the population who refuse to believe the facts, because they go, well, those aren't my facts.
Right.
I choose these facts.
That's right.
Instead. It just doesn't work that way.
No, it does not work that way. But keep tuned, because it's going to change, and it's going to keep moving in some way.
We're up to 51.
In some direction. We're up to 51. Let's see, how many people get fed up with, having long court cases.
Yeah.
And, we'll see where we are, because that is becoming a reason for a lot of them to do it.
I agree.
Is to move the process faster.
Right.
Because otherwise you get into election season, and once you're in election season, that becomes a whole other
Well,
argument.
in this instance, society, they don't know anything about long court cases.
I don't know if we had comments today, because I didn't see anything. So if you guys were commenting, we don't know.
Right. We weren't ignoring you.
We were not ignoring you if you were doing that. And if you weren't doing that, you should have been. No.
Yeah.
But if you weren't doing that, join us next time when all of this is going to be gone.
Wow.
Gone.
And he didn't even lose $1 billion, and he still has to do it.
I know. And this is going to be gone. I don't know if it's going to be clean-shaven, but it'll be close. Anyway, till next time, I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman.
This has been NewsRap, live at 5.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah.